One Point Port. You are again very welcome, sir. How are you?
Rowan? Very well indeed.
You're looking healthy and good and strong.
One tries. Yes.
On the bridge deck, commanding everything.
Oh, yes.
Goodness
yes,
gracious,
yes,
the
yes.
only way. You've had your ups and downs this last while, but you came out of them magnificently.
We have, yes. I think we have to face up to all eventualities, and I suppose we started the month of October on a high because, as I mentioned before, we were hosting the BPA, the British Ports Association Conference.
That was in Newcastle, wasn't it?
Newcastle. We had it in well, we split it between Moranpoint and Newcastle because we had a very big function at Narrowwater.
Oh, yes.
And we had 200 delegates from all over Great Britain, and indeed the Irish ports as well attended. So it was a triumph. But who was it said these two impostors, triumph and disaster?
Yeah,
well,
treat them just the same.
Yeah, well, they visited us.
Well, you're the oil spillage from
Yes.
one of the sea truck boats, and that happened, and then that was the first thing that happened, and what was the other?
We had a couple of fires.
A couple of fires, yeah, but I mean they were controlled.
Yeah.
And, my memory is before you say another word, is that you got the great accolade from the environmental people saying that you had a system in place for dealing with it, and that it was seamless in its rolling out.
Well, yes, I think, as a responsible organisation, we need to be prepared for all of these things. And over the years, we've had training in what they call oil spill response. It's part and parcel of running a harbour or a port, because obviously, if there is an oil spill, it can be and it is very serious. And you have to be able to deal with it quickly. And in these circumstances, that's really what we were tasked to do, because although we weren't responsible for it, we had to kick in immediately with our team and handle the
as
problem.
you did.
Yes.
Is it too soon to say? Because obviously you want to know why it happened and to make sure that the circumstances that caused it won't obtain again.
Well, I do have some information on that because our main customer, Seatruck, have been very forthright, and indeed, as soon as this situation arose, they immediately brought it to our attention. And I must say that was a big help, because if somebody was involved in something like this and scooted down the loch and away, and we didn't know about it for several hours, it would have been a lot worse.
Yeah.
But yes, as a maritime man yourself, Rowan, you will understand that vessels need to be ballasted.
Yes,
and very simply, what that means is that to level a vessel out before she sails, they sometimes have to take in salt water into ballast tanks. Now, these tanks are not oil tanks.
No.
And then, likewise, to lower the vessel, they have to, and take on more cargo, they have to empty them.
Yes, he says.
And on this particular occasion, they were deballasting and pumping out salt water. A normal occurrence, happens with every ship. It even happens in small boats and dinghies and so on to balance them. It was observed that there was oil in what they were pumping out.
Wow.
So there had been contamination on board between the fuel tank and the ballast tank. So that was investigated, and the ship has actually been dry docked, and that issue has been resolved. It was a break in a seal.
Well done, well done. Something as simple as that.
Simple,
but
yes.
you responded well, and well done for that.
Well, my own background is in the oil industry, and I wasn't slow to point out to anyone who asked that it's a very simple equation, but 1 litre of petrol, and that's on the very top end of the barrel, can spread over 1 square kilometre of water.
My goodness.
So, as you can imagine, a small amount of oil can go a long way, and does, and that's why you need to act quickly.
Yeah. The fires, of course, that came, and they were well controlled and whatever, they were there, and the reason for those, it was almost a spontaneous combustion in the cargo.
Well, again, that will be under investigation by the fire service, but the first one was a fire in product that was stored on the harbour, and the emergency services came and dealt with that very quickly. Now, there were concerns there because there was dense smoke, and it was blowing across the main road. So, we had to take that very seriously as well. But it was less of an issue in that it was in the open, and it was dealt with very quickly.
Yes, yes.
Because the customer who was involved with that brought their own people in and their own equipment, and they created a fire break.
Yeah.
And once that was put in place, we were
yeah,
able to
yeah.
manage that.
I think it comes down to the business about making omelets and breaking eggs.
Yes.
That's, if you take over the period of the life of the port,
Yeah.
How many emergencies
We've
has
had
there
very,
been?
very,
very few.
very few.
So the safety record is strong.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. And the final one was the cargo that came in, but it was already smouldering when it arrived with us.
Yeah, yeah.
So it was a matter of how do we deal with it? Because you can't just say to a vessel, "Oh, get back out again."
No,
we don't
no,
want it to handle it. So
you have a duty of care.
Exactly. And again, the emergency services are very familiar with the port. We work with the Northern Ireland Fire and Rescue Service, with the PSNI, and with the ambulance service, and all of these work together. And in an emergency, all the training that we do has to come good, because we all have a part to play.
Peter, looking back on 2014, Saga Pearl 2 has got to be a summer highlight.
Yes, well, it was. And I must say I'm very proud of the fact that I think there were some statistics in one of the papers recently from Uri and Mourne District Council saying that it was the biggest tourist attraction of the year.
Absolutely.
22,000 in Warren Point.
But the way the folk turned out, you had actors of every description, you had musical groups of every description, and there's a great intermingling with the visitors.
And in fairness to the council, and they do get a lot of criticism from time to time, they did actually row in behind the port and provided a lot of entertainment and encouraged people to come. And it really was a
And what a beautiful day
success.
for it.
Oh, it was a great day.
It was great.
Yes.
Now, there are rumours.
Yes.
There are rumours that when you have not been fishing, you were mending your nets. That you with young Mr. O'Hare maybe have been out again, lassoing further adventures.
We paid a visit there in September to two of the main companies, Saga again, and Swan Hellenic.
Oh, yes.
And both have indicated that they're very keen to put Warren Point in their brochures for 2015 with visits scheduled for 2016.
Yeah.
So this is the planning process for these.
Of course,
and,
of course.
I think Saga, they did say to me that they were, well, shell-shocked because their vessel that had spent 2 weeks cruising Iceland and the Faroes and the north of Scotland, that when they came back, pretty much all the comments they received were about the Northern Ireland port of Warren Point.
But you see, they would have gone. They would have gone to Iceland and wherever else. They would have gone there, and no one would have taken them under their notice.
No.
They come to us and suddenly they're fated.
Yes,
it's
they
great.
They were. And they were lovely people, the people that came ashore and walked around and mingled and went to the church services, and they were mainly English. And boy, were they welcomed. It was terrific.
It was a great event.
Yeah.
How did you manage to land the prize of the Ports Conference?
Well, that was something that we'd been working on for about 4 years. I'm fortunate enough to be on the council for the British Ports Association, and you know, that's a fairly august body that we meet 4 times a year in London and have dealings directly with government in London, but also in the devolved administration, so here in Northern Ireland, Scotland and Wales. So there's a conference every year, and it has been in such places as Dover and London and Southampton and Grimsby, and Warren Point managed to secure it. So
well
it was their most successful conference to date. So they tell me.
There
They
you
probably
are.
tell
But they would
every
have
port
enjoyed
that every year.
They would have enjoyed narrow water.
They love the Mournes
goodness gracious,
and the coastline, and the visit to the port, which was on the Friday morning. And I can assure you, after 2 days of conferences and, shall we say, raising a few glasses in the evening, I had to be on my best behaviour throughout, but particularly on the visit to the port.
Oh, yes.
Because these were all professionals that I would know very well, and we were on show that day.
Absolutely. Big
And I'm
time.
awfully glad that those emergencies happened a few weeks afterwards.
Indeed. Right, have you bought green ore?
No, we haven't, and that phase of negotiation is complete. I suspect we were I haven't been officially informed, but we were probably the underbidder, but we put our full effort into it. We did a full business case.
Yes.
I made it very clear that we weren't going to pay a penny more than we had worked out as our business case,
Yeah.
because we have to protect our own business
Absolutely,
as well.
absolutely.
So we'll see how it transpires, and whoever takes it over, well, you know, they're going to compete with us.
Absolutely.
And that's life. But competition is good for business.
Absolutely.
In 38 years in business, and particularly when I was with a company like Esso, and we had Shell and BP and Statoil and Mobil, everybody, competition's good.
Yeah, if we were to worry about competition, we wouldn't get out of bed in the morning.
Yes.
We would cower in the corner of the bedroom and never look out,
Yes.
just in case we don't get
Yes,
it.
yes.
You know?
It's good for the consumer as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
And what's good for the consumer is good for business as well in the end. It's a circle.
You're still feeding the economic revival in the southeast of England. You're sending out all the building materials,
Indeed we are,
cement
yes,
and
yes.
whatever down there on an ongoing basis.
We had a bit of very good news towards the end of last week, and that was within Northern Ireland, Warrenpoint has displaced Larne as the second port
in Northern Ireland.
And that's a lot to do with the export. We're doing a lot of export. And the building material export to the south of England is a big bonus. But we're also exporting all the garden products as well to the south of England. Also, that's coming from Dungannon direction. A lot of engineering and manufactured goods are going out. And of course, the main base is the dairy and agricultural products which go on the sea truck. We don't actually see them bulk, but they're in a lot of those containers.
How does the sea truck work? The containers are brought down in the back of a lorry.
Yes.
The cab drives them down.
Yes.
The cab doesn't go on board.
No, that's correct.
So then that driver goes home again in the cab.
Well, they're trailers actually. They're rather than containers.
Yeah.
These trailers are deposited in the export yard, and they're then loaded onto the vessel using another machine called a tugmaster, which is like a little tractor unit.
Yes, yes, yes.
But the driver frequently, from the likes of HMT, all these big companies from this area, Sure Freight, O'Reilly's, Mulgrews, McBurney's, and so on, the driver will deposit his trailer and he'll go to the other yard and lift the import one and go off and make deliveries.
Ah, yes.
So he's not coming in and going out with nothing.
And who takes the other one when it arrives in Heysham?
The employees of Sure Freight, HMT, O'Reilly's, who have depots in England.
Depots? English people?
Mostly
English
yes.
people. That's fantastic.
So it means that those companies have sub-offices in England and in Heysham, in this particular industry. All of those that I've named have. And they then do not have the cost of paying for a driver to sit on a boat.
Of course.
It's a very efficient operation.
I have to compliment you and to compliment Alistair Eagle.
Yes.
Who still is to come and talk to me.
Oh, does he? Yes.
He's a fiend. Tell him I said he's a fiend.
I remind him.
There's a welcome here. The welcome mat is out for Alistair Eagle.
Well,
you remind him.
But
his ships are beautiful.
Yes, they are.
They're relatively new. They're a few years old.
Yes.
The Sea Truck Panorama.
That's correct, yes.
And I went into the engine room of it. I couldn't believe it. Well,
I know.
the old engine rooms that I knew on the Ben Doran and the Cherripo, boom, 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 noise.
Yes.
But here's just thrumming along.
I know.
Everything sealed and everything insulated.
I know. Well, Sea Truck, in fairness, they put their money where their mouth is. And they built 4 new vessels in Spain. That's the Sea Truck Panorama, the Point, the Pennant, and the Pace.
The Pace,
4 of them. And then they built 4 others in Germany, bigger vessels, which we've also had in the port. So, they've spent millions,
The confidence in the economy, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because you're more than anything that I can think of or know, you're a barometer of economic condition.
Absolutely. And we've seen the improvement in the economy over the last 18 months. And I'm hoping that it will continue because, it has meant more jobs. We've had to go out there. There have been ads in the papers recently for stevedores, for drivers. Yeah, it's good for everybody.
It is
Good
indeed.
for the
It is
economy.
indeed.
We see the steel coming in from South Wales, which is the steel coil, which is
Yes.
used for manufacturing. It goes to Tata in Lisburn. From there, it goes to
The Indian
Bombardier.
company.
Yes,
Tata.
they're
Isn't it amazing? You're coming in from the Welsh valleys, coming in, going to Tata in Lisburn.
In Lisburn, yes. And they cut and press it. Then it goes to Bombardier, Powerscreen, Terex, all the manufacturing plants, FG Wilson.
Yeah.
And then you see it going out on the export.
My goodness. It's a perpetual motion.
Yeah, well, it's
The goose
trade.
continues to lay the golden egg.
Well, you see-
Is it a difficult thing to service, that continuity of trade? You know,
Every day is different, but you know the great thing about it is today's problems are no longer problems tomorrow.
yes, of course.
Because it's a continuous cycle.
Yeah.
The biggest challenge that we have is space. We are really fairly restricted in our storage facilities, and therefore we need to ensure that the importers and the exporters continue to move their products.
Yes.
Because if they don't, quite simply, we'll just bung up.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's a matter of keeping everything moving.
Yeah, but sure, it's not in their interest to let it lie in the
No,
port,
no,
so
no,
they
no,
will
no,
move. They will move it along. Right, we're going to play a piece of music now. Have we time for the piece of music, sir? We have, and it is a favourite of yours.
Well, it's the Coventry Carol. It's this time of the year, and I think it's a lovely piece.
A lovely piece, the Coventry Carol. Go well, take care. I'll see you in the morning, God willing, inshallah, at 7:30. Thank you, Peter.
Thank you, Ron.
Thank you.
Destination News.